Hey guys, Aaron here. Today we're going to be replacing the thermostat on a Nissan Titan. This particular truck is a 2006, however the procedures and thermostat is the same exact part years 2004 through current. Nissan actually makes and uses the same exact thermostat for the old Titans as they do the second generation Titans. Now in this particular truck, experiencing a little bit of an overheating issue when the vehicle sits at idle, not moving at all. It's about 5 minutes after it's idling, temperature starts to rise and it's bad. Now the fan clutch has been tested and the radiator or the AC condenser clutch have both been tested. They're in great operating condition. So I'm going to go ahead and take the thermostat out, test it. It's most likely going to be bad. So before we begin, let's go ahead and go over the tools that we're going to need to get the job done. So we're going to need an 8mm socket to get off the intake, 12mm socket, a 10mm socket, 3-inch extension, flat blade screwdriver, some vice grips for the hose clamps on the radiator hose, and then a ratchet, of course. This is just my power ratchet by Milwaukee. It's nice and quick. You don't need one. You could just use any old ratchet. Now, if you have access to an OEM thermostat, that obviously would be the best choice. Had best luck with the OEM parts, especially when it comes to the cooling systems on these vehicles. Unfortunately, I don't have that ability today to get an OEM part. I'm going to have to go aftermarket. I'm going to put a link in the description where I'm buying these parts from and the prices that you can expect to spend when you're doing the job yourself. Now, as you probably noticed, this truck has an aftermarket intake system. If you have the stock intake, pretty much the same procedure minus a couple different things. So let's go ahead and remove this. It's going to give us better access to our thermostat. Now that our intake's out of the way, we can go ahead and start draining the coolant. To do that, go ahead and loosen the cap on your coolant reservoir. And on the passenger side, bottom part of the radiator, there's going to be a drain cock. You could just unscrew the screw, catch all the coolant or water, and all the coolant will drain. Alright, so next thing to do is going to be to remove this upper radiator hose right here, and then the smaller coolant line that goes to the throttle body. Yours might be kind of circling around to the throttle body itself. This hose has been bypassed and just goes to another coolant line underneath the intake manifold. Now, if your Titan has a stock clamps on the radiator hoses, they're spring tensioned and they're kind of difficult to get off at first. So what I recommend doing is spraying some WD-40 on the hose itself. That's going to allow the clamp to slide down the hose, which is going to aid in removing it. Now that our hoses are out of the way, we can go ahead and take a 12mm socket and remove the 3 bolts holding on the thermostat housing. There's the old thermostat and there's the housing. It's going to be a little bit stuck in there, so with a flat blade screwdriver, just go ahead and pry it out. It's going to be pretty good. There it is. There's the old gasket. Make sure all the gasket material is off. As you can see, there's a little bit of residue here. So I'm going to take some steel wool and clean this up just to make sure we don't have any future leaks and that there's a good mating surface for the new gasket to go onto. So here's our old thermostat. The original thermostat temperature rating is 180 degrees. So by using just a pot of water and slowly having the water warm up, the thermostat should be fully open at 180 degrees. If the water starts to boil and the thermostat doesn't open, you definitely know you got a bad thermostat. It's definitely a good way to test it. sure-proof to, you know, if you have any doubts or anything like that. I know mine's bad, so I went ahead and purchased a alternate temperature thermostat. This is a 170 degree thermostat. I'll post a link in the description of where you can buy it. It's readily available at any Napa or O'Reilly Auto Parts. They pretty much carry them. It's a pretty common thermostat. One neat little thing is that there's actually a couple holes in the thermostat. It must be a higher flow thermostat than the original one. Interesting to see how it works out. So let's go ahead and throw this bad boy back in. When installing the thermostat, it'll kind of just snap in and hold in place. After you have the housing installed, just make sure that the bolts are nice and tight. You definitely don't want to get them too tight, as the block, which I believe it goes into the, this housing here is aluminum, and you don't want those steel bolts to strip the threads. Now that we got our housing back on, pretty much reverse procedure from here, just like we did when we took off our hose. I'm going to apply a little bit of WD-40 under the housing. It's going to make everything going back together a little more easier. Now our cooling system is back intact and back together. All that's now left to do is to put our intake back on and fill the system full of coolant. Now that we got everything back together, it's pretty much time to put coolant back into the system. Now these vehicles do have an electronic heater control valve. This is what actuates and allows coolant to go into the cab when you turn on the heater. What I like to do is start the motor, turn the heater on full blast, turn the air on full blast, and add coolant through your radiator cap right here until you have coolant come all the way up. Put your cap on, and then just go ahead and keep filling your reservoir till it's at about the max line and holds there. You might have to do it a couple times. Just working out all the air pockets does take a little bit of time for that to happen. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope this video has helped you out. If it has, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave something in the comment section. I hope this really has helped you out and saved you guys some money. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you guys out next time.